Hello you guys, this is Sharzat Morgan here, and this video is about men paying for women. I really am opposed to women taking advantage of men to buy them drinks, buy them dinners, buy them gifts. I don't like it. I've never liked it. I didn't do it when I was younger, and I don't do it now. When I was younger, I had the attitude of it was using men and it was leading them on. I knew ladies, one of them was a family member, we would go to the bar, and all these guys would come up to us, they'd want to buy us drinks, and I always went with the intention of buying my own drink, and I wasn't going to let a guy buy me a drink unless I liked the guy already. Now, if you had to ask me why, I'm going to get into this about receiving. But the people I would go with, or this family member actually, would say, well, they want to buy me a drink, I'll let them. People don't ever just want to buy you a drink. They want you to talk to them when they buy you a drink. They probably, they like you, they want some attention, they're hoping they can talk to you. So to just let a guy buy you a drink and then walk away is really insincere. And it's devious. It's using a guy. Yeah, he wants to buy you the drink, but does he? And this is why I think guys should not buy drinks to get. Don't buy a drink to get. Don't buy a lady to drink thinking that she's going to talk to you. If a lady wants to talk to you, you don't have to buy her a drink. If she's already talking to you and you want to buy her a drink, that's a different story. But just remember, she doesn't owe you anything, and getting her the drink is not a way to get her to like you, because if you have to get me a drink to get me to like you, then you don't have a lot going for yourself. Also, I was very independent. I'm like, I don't want a guy to pay for me. I can pay for myself. Now, when I met my ex-husband, he paid for me right from the beginning, and I liked it because I liked him. In fact, we had just been dating for a few months when he invited me on a vacation. He paid for everything, and I loved when he paid for me because I really liked him. Okay, I think the same goes for dinners. I know I've made videos on my channel before that I do not think that a first date with someone you don't know should be expensive. I don't want a guy that I don't know taking me to dinner, because I can buy my own dinner. I only want to receive from people that I already like. And I've paid for dinner many times. I've had girlfriends that at different times when I had more money than they did, I took them to dinner because I liked them and they were my friends and I wanted to go to dinner with them. I didn't expect anything else. It was just part of our friendship. I'm a generous person. But if I were a man dating a woman, I would screen for her interest. you know, I would screen for her interest before I would ever spend a penny. But now, a lot of it also has to do with receptivity, and that there's a flow and a tension and a build up to things, just like with sex or with kissing. You know how we start out, kind of look at each other and then flirting, and then there's some light kissing, and then it becomes more heavy kissing. Same way with fucking. I like to start slow and build it up. I think friendships or dating can work the same way. I don't want a guy that I don't like to buy me things. It's repulsive to me, actually. I only want to receive from men I like. I'm the same with dancing. This is just me. I don't want to dance with a guy that I don't want to touch. That's why I stopped going to the dance lessons, because I had to dance with all these guys and most of them were very gross. For women, most men are just very gross, okay? And I didn't want them touching me, so I stopped going. When I used to go out when I was younger and guys would ask me to dance, and I'd look at him and I'd be like, is this a guy I want touching me? If no, I would not dance with him. And I always envied these women that would just dance for the sheer joy of dancing. That's not me. Okay, do I want you touching me? If no, I don't want to dance with you, and I don't want you to buy me a drink. I definitely don't want you to buy me dinner. Now, it's not because I'm closed off, it has to do with receptivity. Do I want to receive from you? Do I like you enough to receive from you? And this is I think, a healthy way for a woman to be. I want guys to really pay attention to this, because I come across these videos on YouTube where women are like, well, I'm not going on a date with a guy and getting all ready, and if he's not taking me to dinner. Well, don't spend an hour getting ready. I get ready in 5 minutes, okay? It's not much to it, actually. But it's very demanding and entitled, because why would a man that I don't even know, why would, it's simp behavior. It's simp behavior, because guys who have it going on, they will invite a woman to coffee and she will go. Okay? They don't have to buy dinner. It's simp behavior. To buy a woman a drink, hoping that she'll talk to you, to buy her dinner, hoping that she'll like you. It's simp behavior, and it indicates a lack of confidence. Like, why are you doing that? I don't even know you. It could also be love bombing behavior. It's not what a confident man does. Not at all. But also, a healthy woman isn't going to want to accept gifts from a man that she's not interested in. Okay, this is another thing. A healthy woman and a respectful woman is not going to accept gifts from a man she's not interested in. Because when men are interested in me that I'm not interested in, I have to let them know, because it's very uncomfortable to know that someone wants me that I don't want. I don't want to lead men on. That's the thing. And some women don't care. They're like, oh, he wanted to buy me dinner, I'll let him. You're kind of a user of men, ladies, if you do that. In my opinion, I mean, if I were homeless and my children were hungry and a man wanted to buy me dinner, by all means, give it to my kids. Okay? Maybe I would do things I shouldn't to feed my kids. But assuming we all have our own food and our own money, no. The receptivity thing is big, because I have to like you enough to receive from you at that level. I have to like you enough for you to touch me, to dance with me. I have to like you already before I will accept you buying me a drink. I have to like you already before I will accept you paying for my dinner. This is not a problem with receiving. This is alignment of energy. This is alignment of energy and intention. Because I don't want to receive something from someone that I don't like. I just don't. Okay? So that's pretty clear to me. That's pretty clear to me. And if I like someone, I'm very comfortable receiving. Okay? So that's very clear to me. I just wonder if other people, other women feel that same way. So that's just what I want to make this video about receiving and not taking advantage of men. Another thing I think that women have to be really careful about is, we say that women are more emotional, and that's true. That doesn't give us a green light to be raging, to be disrespectful, to be volatile. Those things are never okay. They're not okay. When I say that women are more emotional, sometimes it's harder for us to control our moods when we're younger. In my 20s, when like the hormonal fluctuations that women have around their periods are extremely emotionally destabilizing. And they can also cause a lot of physical discomfort with cramping, days of cramping and bloating, and then having the periods, which are messy. And there's all these mood changes that come with it. It's horrible. It's the same way as guys with their high testosterone, their libido. Like, it can drive your behavior in ways you don't like. But with the mood changes, it's so hard. It wasn't until I got into my mid-30s that I was able to manage it, or it smoothed out. And I would say since probably my 40s, I haven't had those mood changes. I still had things that I had to work on that would make me get like too angry too quickly. Like guys, I don't know, sliding into my DMs, that would always make me so angry. But so I had to learn to not go off on them and just simply block them. Just because I'm angry doesn't mean I can go off on people, but I can let them know I don't like you sliding into my DMs, or I can just block them. For that, I just got rid of Instagram, I got rid of Facebook. No guys can slide into my DMs. Another thing I want to say, guys, women women who have Instagrams where they're showcasing their body, their ass, their tits, their body, are women to fuck, not women to date. Okay, women like me, women like women in my family, proper women, our Instagram is going to showcase, if we have one at all, our family, our friends, places we've gone. We're not showcasing our bodies because healthy women like attention from men that's a good quality attention. That's like the guys that are talking to us at the gym or at the grocery store, at work, or men that we actually meet and talk to. Anonymous men coming onto us on social media is considered slimy, low quality. And women who value themselves, the kind of women that you want to date, are not I want to put this in all caps, not trying to get attention from anonymous men showcasing their body on the internet. Even when I was an escort, my photos were very respectable. I didn't pop out my ass in a G-string. I wore very respectable clothes, okay? Because even for that, the more clothes a woman wears, the more money she can charge. Okay? Like you see those streetwalkers, there's a reason they walk on the street. Because they look like cheap. Okay? But if a woman covers her body, maybe, shows a little bit of cleavage or whatever, she's trying to attract men, higher quality men. But a single woman is, if I were a single woman now trying to get men, I mean, I am a single woman trying to get men. What am I saying? But I don't have Instagram. But if I were a young woman, I'd never been married, I would use my Instagram as a way to showcase that I'm an interesting person who has things going on. And I would probably make it a private Instagram. And then men that I would meet somewhere, like at the gym or something, if I told them, hey, you can look at my Instagram, it would just be pictures of maybe trails that I go on, or restaurants I might like, or books that I read, to showcase the aspects of me that are not just physical. Because ladies, I will tell you from having been a hooker, or just from just going in the grocery store and like pretty much covered up, Men are going to get turned on by a woman in a hijabi, okay? You don't have to show all that. Showing all that cheapens the value of the woman. It's saying, I have no standards, I have no values, I'm accessible to any Tom, Dick, or Harry. I'm not an exclusive woman that you have to try to get. I'm not a catch. A woman who is a catch is not available to just anyone, and she's selective in the men she invites into her life and the men from whom she's going to receive gifts, energy, and attention. I'm saying this because I was raised before all this hookup culture started. I was raised in the 60s. I came from a family of respectable women that had manners and that taught us how to interact with men and how to be respectable. You don't want to have men you don't know coming over after dark. You don't want to show your booty to just any random men. Like, why? Why are you doing that? Anyway, I'm just going off and off, but the main thing I wanted to make this video about was, guys, a woman worth having is not going to require you to spend a bunch of money on her. That's how you can weed out women very easily. You have to get yourself to the point that a woman is thrilled that you're even talking to her. I will tell you this, if I see a high quality man, and that's just a guy who seems like he has his life in order, If he would come up to me and talk to me, I would be thrilled, because they never do that. It requires courage. And I can tell he's got social skills, he's got a job, he's dressed well, he's fit, he's interesting. He has a plan, he wants to ask me out. That never happens, but I would be thrilled. He doesn't have to spend any money, he just has to have something interesting, somewhere interesting to take me, or let's go for the gym, or let's go for a run, and show an interest in me as a person. I already know he wants to get in my body, but be able to show an interest in me as a person. Yeah, that's how you want to get women, not by having to buy them things or take them to dinner. I think that's very simpy behavior. I will tell you that men I know who get women, they're not doing that. They're able to a woman should want you without you buying her stuff. And then if you want to buy her stuff, you can, but that's one thing that's always really bothered me. And likewise, I don't think that women should try to get men by sleeping with them right away. Like, do you want to sleep with the guy? Then do. Do you want to buy her something and you're expecting nothing in return? Then do. I think people have to give without expecting something in return, just for the joy of the giving. And nobody really naturally wants to give something to someone they don't know. I mean, if a woman's sleeping with a guy right away, she might be hoping for good sex, but maybe she's hoping for a relationship and she's trying to speed it up. You know, I better sleep with him or he'll lose interest. That's something interesting to look at. But anyway, my time with men has come and gone. It's too late for me. It's just, you know, I had my marriage. Things are different now. And I'm not sorry if this offends anyone, but I'm not interested in old men. And young men, I don't know what I would do with the young man anyway. So I just make these videos, you know, based on stuff that I see or that I come across. So, yeah, that's all I want to say. Also, I'm very upset about all this war stuff that's going on, because it used to be easy to do all this propaganda on people when we just had all these radio stations and newspapers and TV stations, but now we have the internet. Anyone, anywhere in the world can get on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Journalists they don't have to work for the propaganda station that tells them what to say or what's the topic. They can make their own YouTube channels. Former military generals, there's an Army Ranger I watch, former Army Ranger, Colonial Outcasts. I watch his show. Geopolitical analysts anywhere in the world. Anyone can make a YouTube channel. Anyone can write a book now. Like, we're all, you know, able to get the kind of news and information that we couldn't get years before. And that's changed things a lot. People under 50 are more tuned into getting their information off of their social media from these independent journalists and former military analysts and political analysts and geopolitical analysts, more than these kind of, I'm going to say, fake news. I don't like Donald Trump, by the way, but he's right. It is fake news. It's all propaganda. They're pretty much parroting the government narrative. And I've been red-pilled. Is it red-pilled? I see the light. I see that it's all propaganda. So for people under 50, now I'm 63, but people under 50 I'm kind of an outlier. Most people my age are still getting their news from the main TV stations and the newspapers, but their audience is shrinking as, you know, the younger generation is getting their news from social media. And so we're exposed to things that are happening and we're seeing how they're lying to us, and we see things behind the scenes. And so we're having kind of an awakening as to a lot of the stuff we're told isn't actually the truth. And just remember, a lot of war is propaganda. All the countries have their own propaganda, you know? Um, so some of the stuff that I see is just very upsetting. Like, how can we as a people be doing these things, committing these atrocities, committing these wars? How can we justify that? Just to maintain our hegemony, to be, maintain our power. And that means that what I have, the material things that I have, are at the expense of those people in the world that we've colonized, that we've taken advantage of. So I'm benefiting from our hegemony. I'm benefiting from all these wars. It's keeping the US more elevated than it otherwise would be, isn't it? Tell me if I'm wrong here. Aren't we benefiting by exploiting Africa, starting wars? And the list of wars we started is huge. I only started tuning into all these wars when the Russia-Ukraine thing started. Before that, I was like, they would say it on the PBS NewsHour. There was a war in Yemen and Syria. I didn't even know where these places were. I'm like, that's just those people over there. They're just always starting the wars. It doesn't affect me. And I had my head in the sand. I was still in the matrix. And now I'm like, wow, that we're not the good guys. Oh, but they tell us we're the rules-based order. What rules and what order? We're violating United Nations stuff, Geneva Conventions. And like when men fight wars, I've also got very interested in war strategy. There's like the war of attrition, where the soldiers of one country are battling the soldiers of another country, like Russia and Ukraine. They've already lost over 1.5 million men, something like that, to death or wounded, and then millions have already fled. But by the time all their soldiers are dead, it's a war of attrition because Russia has more soldiers. So when the last Ukrainian soldier has died, Russia will automatically win. It's called a war of attrition. But there are other, and also I've learned that to win a war, you can't just bomb civilians. You actually have to go in with boots on the ground. Another thing I learned, I'm going to tell you all the things I learned, is that sometimes in a war, you want to like escalate. So they bomb you, you bomb them back. But sometimes the strategy is not to escalate because maybe someone bombed you, you don't want to escalate because if you escalate, then you will be caught in a bigger war. Maybe you don't have the resources for war. You don't want to put the resources into war. Maybe your strategy, like China, is more to like, you're not a war country. China is more built on peace. They've been around for thousands of years. But the US has always done wars. So that's just what we do, wars to expand our power, maintain power. But sometimes you don't want to start war because you're trying to build coalitions and alliances. And you're just not that interested in war. Also, with boots on the ground, the reason that some of these countries are so hard to overwhelm, like Lebanon and probably Iran, I don't know about Iraq and Afghanistan, is they have these tribal people that are dug deep into tunnels. So you can't get them because they're all in these tunnels, like Hamas is in tunnels, Hezbollah, and their tunnels are huge. They're like 10 feet around, like you can drive trucks through there, deep underground, all over. So you can't get them and they can come out and shoot and hide again. That's kind of hard to get people like that to win in a country like that. You can bomb all the civilians, but that just makes the people more angry, so then they get more resistance fighting you. So that's another thing. I've also learned the US does coups by getting like non-governmental organizations in there and sowing some kind of divisiveness, maybe like they're doing here, I don't know. And then they install a different president. That's what they did in Ukraine in 2014. They did it in Iran in the 50s with the Shah. my Persian family actually liked the Shah. They were very disappointed when the Shah fell. But the Shah was a US installed puppet. So you can install people. The US also does other things where they sanction countries that don't go along with us. And now we've sanctioned 25% of the world's population to the point that there's so many countries sanctioned that they all just decided to do business with each other, and they're blossoming because like Iran has been sanctioned, North Korea, Russia, some of the South American countries. And if you're sanctioned, no other country can do business with you, because say that the US sanctions Iran and Germany would do business with Iran, then Germany would be sanctioned. So basically, if the US sanctions you, you can't do business with anyone. And then the US has sanctioned so many countries that now they're like, well, we're just going to do business with ourselves. And so that's how the BRICS countries are rising in power. So we've done sanctions, we've done wars, we've done covert operations, coups. And then we start wars in these countries, these really impoverished countries like Yemen, Syria, Afghanistan, Libya. Like, why? These poor countries, like, and we just go in there and drop bombs on them. Another thing I want to say about the wars, when they're doing the bombing, they ideally go for military installations because you want to take out the opponent's air bases or their depots where they store the munitions. You can also go after the infrastructure, although that could also hurt the civilians. Like you can go after the energy grid, like Russia did in Ukraine. But you're not supposed to bomb civilians or, schools or churches and stuff like that. So it's kind of, you're taking out other military installations, and then it's soldier upon soldier. So when Russia's in Ukraine, they're killing the other soldiers. I don't think they've killed any civilians. I think maybe a couple died by accident off some shrapnel. But I think even the US just tries to do military installations. I don't know. Sometimes the US does assassinate leaders of other countries. Like Trump ordered the assassination of an Iranian top-level leader, Soleimani or something like that. I know Obama ordered the assassination of some leaders in other countries. I don't remember the names right now. He started the drone attacks. But right now what's going on in the Middle East, and I know people get upset when I say about this, but Israel has a strategy of killing civilians. That's what they do. It's not soldier against soldier, because their soldiers are actually like from the population. They're a conscription force, and they're not well trained, and they don't have a military that can go in. Like I said, the resistance force is all in tunnels, so they're not able to get them that way. They're just trying to kill the Palestinians so they can take over the land, so they want to get rid of the people. So they're not just bombing children and women, they're also bombing not just churches, also hospitals, UN workers, schools, and they have no shame about it. That, and the US is supporting that, because the US, it's not just the AIPAC lobby, and both Trump and Kamala are going to keep bombing Gaza. Just so you know, Trump is not your hero, your savior. If you're looking for an end to war, he might stop the war in Russia, but he's going to start the war in China, okay? But the US is complicit because we're giving them the bombs to do all this. And I think it's the lobbyist money, and it's also that the US wants to have like a foothold in the Middle East. And without Israel, we don't really have anyone. I mean, we are kind of friends with the monarchs in Saudi Arabia. This is another thing I learned, is that some other countries are represented by leaders that they like in Iran. I don't like the hijabis. A lot of people in Iran do not like the whole hijabi thing, but a lot of them do, okay? Same with Russia. There are many Russians who don't like Putin, but most of them do. He has an 80% approval rating. Just like a lot of us don't like Biden and Kamala, but half of America does. So you're going to have people in every country who don't like their government, and you're going to have people who do. Okay? And the governments in the Middle East, some of them are ruled by leaders that are popular with the people. But some of them are ruled more by monarchs. They're dictators, like in Saudi Arabia. I didn't know this before. Saudi Arabia has, and so they're worried because those people in the Middle East, they're mostly like dark-skinned Palestinian type of origin, different kind of Muslims or Shia, whatever. I'm not that familiar with it, but they're very upset about what's going on in Gaza, and they don't like that their rulers are supporting Israel. So these rulers have to worry about an uprising of the people. They have to try to control that. Also, I didn't know this, but Jordan is ruled by a French monarch. It's not even a Jordanian guy. And then you have other countries like Lebanon that have like a leader that the Lebanese people want, but the US is trying to take him out and put in a US guy. Like, will that work? I don't know. So I think the same in Yemen. I don't know. So all this war stuff is very interesting when you start looking at, do the people like their leader? Is the leader friendly to the West or not? What are their goals? How do they fight their wars? How do they protect their territory? So I just started getting really interested in these wars. But for the life of me, I wonder if the US can ever learn to be friends with the rest of the world instead of like, we only matter if we're the big shot. And apparently a lot of leaders and political executives are more like sociopaths. So it should be no surprise that they act like sociopaths, What was the last thing that any president has really done for the people? If you look at, and I think things were better under Trump because after COVID, everything got worse. They shut down the economy for 2 years, and printed a lot of money. I think that's what made things really bad. I'm not going to blame that on Biden per se. But what have any of them done? Look at the inner cities. Look at the state of our education. Look at all the wars we're fighting while ignoring the people here at home. The American people are very uneducated. We're really stupid. We're not very politically informed. Our education system is quite mediocre. I know it's from having gone to school in Germany. The US education system is pitiful. And we don't really make that much anymore. So no one's talking about, we're really far in debt. So what has anyone done for the blacks, for the poor people, for the single mothers? So many people are struggling just to pay their bills. No one's talking about it. What have they done? They've done things for the upper people. I still have bookkeeping clients. They don't bat an eye paying me, okay? There's still people who have money. There's a percentage of the population. There's the top 1%. There's probably the 20% that still has pretty good money. But there are a lot of people who are struggling, and no president deals with that. They don't care. Now they're giving a bunch of lip service to get your vote because they still need your vote. Anyway, that's all I have to say for right now. This was a long video about receptivity and wars. It's like, I need to make a video. It's been so long since I made a video. And thank you so much for watching.